And one of the things that we see happen so often in the 30s is that people at this decade are they're not exactly young like 20-year-olds, but they're not exactly older like 50-year-olds. They're in this unique in between, and they haven't quite yet realized, even in your 30s, you are not invincible.
Yeah, I mean, this is one, I think in your 20s, you get away with it a little bit that I'm going to live forever. I can make crazy, wild decisions. But now in your 30s, more than likely, it's not even just you anymore. Mm-hmm. Now you might have kids, you might have a spouse. These type of things start making you realize you better start lining up the intersection of not only maximizing opportunities, but where do you fall on the risk spectrum with your life as well. And unfortunately, I'm just going to go and tell you the cold, hard truth. Most Americans are not giving this the focus that they should. And why can I say that with confidence is because the percentage of American adults without life insurance is almost like a coin flip. It's 48%
Which is why,
according to
and you think
USA
about,
Today.
And then how many Americans, Brian, probably have someone depending on them for income? So it's probably a much higher percentage than 48%.
I mean, disability insurance is 82%. It basically means 1 to 2 people out of 10 are going to have disability insurance, even though you're much more likely to become, look, we're all going to die, but during working years, you're much more likely to become disabled than you are to be killed or die unexpectedly. So it's crazy that disability insurance is so low. Full emergency fund. We already told you that financial order of operations, things are going to come at you on a Tuesday out of the blue at 2 p.m. that you're not expecting, yet only it's the minority that have a fully funded emergency fund because 54% don't have it fully funded.
It's unbelievable. And then 60% of Americans right now don't have any estate documents, any sort of will, any sort of trust in place. So again, these are people that think, okay, you know what? Estate planning or insurance or protecting myself from risk, that's an old person's game. No. That is a you person's game. If you are in that stage, you need to make sure that you are taking steps to protect yourself. And one of the very first ones, Brian, it's why we put it on financial order of operations, is to fully fund your emergency fund. If you are working and you are in the accumulation phase and you are building your assets, we want you to have somewhere between 3 months to 6 months of living expenses in liquid cash. If you're in financial independence or nearing retirement, we might even want to see that number grow to 12 to 18 months of living expenses so that when the unknown comes your way, it does not derail your entire financial life.
Well, you think about all the things when we're talking about risk, you cut to the bone, cut to the quick, all these things we talk about in life when you're talking about boo-boos or getting hurt. This is what your cash reserves is. It is the margin on your life that keeps you from having to make desperate decisions. If I could give you anything that's going to protect you is make sure you're keeping enough buffer in your life so that you never, no matter what life throws at you, you're just not caught in that just horrible, debilitating situation where you just don't know how you're going to come up with the bucks to get you out of it. That's why emergency reserve is such a powerful thing that of our 9 steps of the financial order of operations, it's actually 2 of the steps. It's steps 1 and steps 4. So don't sleep on the fact that you need to actually have emergency funds. It will actually keep you from making desperate decisions and also help you even if you're a financial mutant and you're like, I just don't need to have emergency reserves because I want to maximize every dollar I have. I'm telling you, money and cash, an emergency fund, a well-funded emergency fund, can also be a long-term wealth builder because when you have money when others don't, that is a superpower. So don't sleep on the fully funded emergency fund.
So that's a great way to protect yourself. Another way that you can protect yourself is to check and recheck and reassess your insurance. Brian, we already acknowledged 48% of Americans do not have life insurance. 82% of Americans do not have disability insurance. We literally had a guest on Making a Millionaire that does not have any health insurance. If you are doing that, you are too far out on the risk spectrum. So make sure you're checking your coverages to make sure that you have appropriate coverage in place, and then make sure that you recheck them, because just because you had life insurance when you were 22 years old and had your first baby does not mean that's the same amount of coverage that you need now that you're 38 years old with 3 kids. So make sure that you reassess and make sure the coverage you have in place is appropriate to protect you from the unknowns out there.
And then this goes without saying, look, protect yourself. This goes beyond protect yourself. If you have a tricycle motor, if you've decided you're going to, and you have children here, you got to have a will because, and look, if you say, look, the reason I don't have a will is because my spouse and I can't decide on who would actually take the kids if something happens to both of us. If you are having that hard of a decision while you're here on the planet and everybody can talk to each other and you're all above ground, how do you think that conversation is going to go when no one's here? So don't sleep on this. This is one of those things we pick on people all the time. We find out you have kids and you don't have a will, you're doing it wrong. Make sure you update or make a will and it reflects your desires, especially if you have children.